The Eastern world, it is exploding, violence flaring, bullets loading, bold enough to kill, but not enough for voting. You don't believe in war, but what's that gun you're toting? And even the Jordan River has bodies a-floating, and you tell me over and over and over again, my friend, how you don't believe we're on the eve of destruction. You don't understand what I'm trying to say. Can't you feel the fears that I'm feeling today? If the button is pushed, there's no running away. There'll be no one to save with the world in a grave. Take a look around you, boy. It's bound to scare you, boy. And you tell me over and over and over again, my friend, that you don't believe you're on the eve of destruction. Yeah, my blood's so mad, feels like coagulating. I'm sitting here I'm just contemplating. I can't twist the truth, it knows no regulation. A handful of senators don't pass legislation, and marches alone can't bring integration when human respect is disintegrating. This whole crazy world, it's just too frustrating. And you tell me over and over again, my friend, that you don't believe we're on the eve of destruction. Think of all the hate there is in Red China. Then take a look around to Selma, Alabama. You may leave here for 4 days in space, but when you return, it's the same old place. The pounding of the drums, the pride and disgrace. You can bury your dead, but don't forget to say grace. Hate your next door neighbor, don't forget to say grace. And tell me over and over and over again, my friend, that you don't believe we're on the eve of destruction. Now you don't believe we're on the eve of destruction.
Welcome to the beloved community known as UU Amherst. I'm Reverend Michelle Buchheit, the minister of this congregation. My pronouns, which I offer to create a truly inclusive and brave space for all to live into the fullness of their identities, are she and her. For those gathered in the chapel, I invite you to put your phones on airplane mode, or as I like to call it, worship mode, so that you and all may be fully present and free from distraction, as well as freeing up web bandwidth for our live streaming friends so that they're able to enjoy the service without any hiccups. Today, we welcome Reverend Fran Manley and Doug Yeomans to our pulpit. Fran is a retired UU minister, now active in the Buffalo UU Church as a worship associate and singing in the choir. She has served churches in Niagara Falls and Hamburg and preaches occasionally at the small UU churches in Western New York. Singer, songwriter, and guitarist Doug Yeomans is a member of the Buffalo Music Hall of Fame. He's a popular guest musician at the Buffalo UU and in other congregations. He and Fran have been creating services together since 2010, and Fran will now offer our opening words.
Good morning. What a pleasure to be here with you all on such a beautiful November day. Our opening words are from the poet and minister Lynn Unger. "Breathe," said the wind. "How can I breathe at a time like this, when the air is full of the smoke of burning tires, burning lives?" "Just breathe," the wind insisted. "Easy for you to say, if the weight of injustice is not wrapped around your throat, cutting off all air. I need you to breathe. I need you to breathe. Don't tell me to be calm when there are so many reasons to be angry, so much cause for despair." "I didn't say to be calm," said the wind. "I said to breathe. We're going to need a lot of air to make this hurricane together. Come, friends, let's worship." I'll just introduce the song. All right, let us join in singing. Your hymn book, your order of service says "My Life Flows On in Endless Song," but it's the title in the hymn book is "How Can I Keep From Singing?" In any case, it's number 108 in your gray hymnal.
It is our custom when we gather to light a chalice. The chalice is a cup or a vessel that symbolizes the gathered community. The flame represents the spark that each one of us brings to represent the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of our commitment to bring more compassion and justice to the world. Please join me in our chalice lighting words as Kate and Poppy light the flame. Please, Kate, you do it. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together. Each week, as we light the chalice to symbolize the gathered community, we also acknowledge that our church is built on holy ground, ground that was first cultivated and occupied by the Haudenosaunee and those known as the Neutrals. Kate will now offer a libation as our giveaway, a symbol of our respect for and deep connection with the land. Thank you, Kate and Poppy. We are a beloved community, a gathering of people who have chosen to journey together, to encourage one another, and to be part of something important and life-changing. Because we aspire to be such a people, we make bold promises about how we will strive to be with one another. Whether today is your first time or you have made UU Amherst your longtime home, you are invited to share in our sacred promise. Together we promise to gather in compassionate community, to celebrate diversity of thought and unity of spirit, and to seek wholeness for ourselves, our children, and our world.
If you have grandchildren or children, or if you're young enough to have had your parents read this to you, you've heard this story before, I'm almost sure. Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. I went to sleep with gum in my mouth, and now there's gum in my hair. And when I got out of bed this morning, I tripped on the skateboard, and I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. At breakfast, Anthony found a Corvette Stingray car kit in his breakfast cereal box, and Nick found a junior undercover agent code pin in his breakfast cereal box, and all I found was breakfast cereal. I think I'll move to Australia. In the carpool, Mrs. Gibson let Becky have a seat by the window. Audrey and Elliot got seats by the window too. I said I was getting smushed. I said, if I don't get a seat, if I don't get a seat by the window, I'm going to be car sick. No one even answered. I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. At singing time, Mrs. Dickens said I sang too loud. At counting time, she said I left out 16. Who needs 16? I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. I could tell because Paul said I wasn't his best friend anymore. He said Philip Parker was his best friend, and Albert Mayo was his next best friend, and I was only his third best friend. I hope you sit on a tack, I said to Paul. I hope the next time you get a double-decker strawberry ice cream cone, the ice cream part falls off the cone part and lands in Australia. There were 2 cupcakes in Philip's lunch bag, and Albert got a Hershey bar with almonds, and Paul's mother gave him a piece of jelly roll that had those little coconut sprinkles on the top. Guess whose mother forgot to put in dessert? It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. That's what it was, because after school, my mom took us all to the dentist, and Dr. Fields found a cavity just in me. Come back next week and I'll fix it, said Dr. Fields. Next week, I said, I'm going to Australia. On the way downstairs, the elevator door closed on my foot. And while we were waiting for my mom to go get the car, Anthony made me fall where it was muddy. And then when I started crying because of the mud, Nick said I was a crybaby. And while I was punching Nick for saying crybaby, my mom came back with the car and scolded me for being muddy and fighting. I'm having a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day, I told everybody. No one even answered. So then we went to the shoe store to buy some sneakers. Anthony chose the white ones with blue stripes. Nick chose red ones with white stripes. I chose blue ones with red stripes. But then the shoe man said, we're all sold out. They made me buy plain old white ones. But they can't make me wear them. It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. There were lima beans for dinner, and I hate limas. There was kissing on TV, and I hate kissing. My bath was too hot. I got soap in my eyes, and I had to wear my railroad train pajamas. I hate my railroad train pajamas. When I went to bed, Nick took back the pillow he said I could keep, and the Mickey Mouse nightlight burned out, and I bit my tongue. It has been a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. My mom says some days are like that, even in Australia.
Each week, we bring our whole selves into this sacred time. Our joys, our concerns, our joys, sorrows, cares. And the table where we gather is at the center of this space, at the heart of UU Amherst. I invite you to come forward and to place a stone or a shell on the table labyrinth in recognition of all that you bring and all that you are. May we remember that we are called to heal and bring love to the broken places. Come as you will. What we do here each week, meeting one another around the table, placing a stone or a shell, bearing witness, this is the most sacred thing we do. We hold in our hearts all who are impacted by the violence in conflicts around the world. We pray for peace and an end to violence. And we hold our own tender hearts in loving care. In many houses of worship, this would be the moment when the offering, the passing of plates or baskets to accept contributions would happen. As we continue to exercise caution in this time of COVID, we do not pass a basket. but instead make them available to you following the service at the back of the chapel. However, we do want to set aside this moment of mindfulness for you to prepare for your contributions to the vitality of UU Amherst, and perhaps to participate in this month's shared offering to support the work of Hearts and Hands, Faith in Action. It is also perfectly permissible to simply relax and enjoy the musical offering as Doug shares with us "The Darkest Hour is Just Before Dawn" by Ralph Stanley.
The sun is slowly sinking. Daylight is almost gone. Still darkness falls around us, yet we must journey on. The darkest hour is just before dawn. The narrow way leads home. Lay down your soul at Jesus' feet. The darkest hour is just before dawn. Like a shepherd out on a mountain, watching his sheep below. He's coming back to claim us. Will you be ready to go? The darkest hour is just before dawn. The narrow way leads home. Lay down your soul at Jesus' feet. The darkest hour is just before dawn. The darkest hour is just before dawn. The narrow way leads home. Lay down your soul at Jesus' feet. The darkest hour is just before dawn. The darkest hour is just before dawn.
Our reading this morning is The Second Coming by William Butler Yeats. And I cannot tell you how many times in recent years, as I contemplate what is going on in the world, that one line or another of this poem just pops into my head and is the theme of the day. He writes, "Turning and turning in the widening gyre, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. Things fall apart, the center cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. The blood-dimmed tide is loosed, and everywhere the ceremony of innocence is drowned. The best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. Surely some revelation is at hand. Surely the second coming is at hand." The second coming. Hardly are those words out when a vast image out of Spiritus Mundi troubles my sight. Somewhere in the sands of the desert, a shape with a lion body and the head of a man, a gaze blank and pitiless as the sun, is moving its slow thighs, while all around it reel shadows of the indignant desert birds. The darkness drops again, but now I know that 20 centuries of stony sleep were vexed to nightmare by a rocking cradle. And what rough beast, its hour come round at last, slouches toward Bethlehem to be born?
Let us pause in life's pleasures and count the many tears while we all sup sorrow with the poor. There's a song that will linger forever in our ears. Oh, hard times come again no more. It's a song, a sigh of the weary. Hard times come again no more. Many days you have lingered beyond my black cabin door. Oh, hard times come again no more.
I woke up one morning and went outside, and the air was hazy and smelled like smoke. And I shouldn't even have been breathing outside at all because the air was so bad. And the news said the cause was wildfires in Canada. Canada! And they were the worst wildfires Canada had ever seen. And it was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. There was another mass shooting, and all our so-called leaders could do about it was thoughts and prayers. And I knew there would be more and more and more coming sooner rather than later. And probably the only reason there were no school shootings that week was that it was summer vacation. It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad week. There was a massive heat wave going on and on and on, and in Arizona and Texas and all around the world. Maybe the worst in all of human history. And Texas passed a law making it illegal for cities to mandate water breaks for construction workers in 100-degree heat. And people still claimed that climate change was a hoax. It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad month. The Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade and decided it was fine for businesses to discriminate against LGBT clients. And state after state passed laws making abortion almost completely illegal and making it a crime to provide any kind of gender-affirming care for young people. The North Pole was thawing and releasing tons of carbon into the air, and Antarctica was melting and calving its glaciers into the sea. Parents were demanding that schools and public libraries get rid of books they didn't want their children or anybody to read. And there were more shootings and an unprecedented blizzard in Buffalo, and a former president was indicted in 4 different states for what was probably only the first of many crimes. And his buddies in Congress decided they should impeach the current president just to even things up. And a presidential candidate announced that slavery was a good thing because it taught enslaved people useful skills. Meanwhile, the war in the Ukraine dragged on, and a new brutal, bloody war broke out in the Middle East, and it was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad year.
While we seek mirth and beauty and music bright and gray, they are frail forms fainting at my door. Though their voices are silent, their pleading seems to say, oh, hard times come again no more. It's a song, a sigh of the weary. Hard times come again no more. Many days you have lingered beyond my cabin door. Oh, hard times come again no more.
So, are we on the eve of destruction then? Or did Alexander's mom have the right idea? Sometimes they're just like that. Or is it possible that both of those things can be true at once? Maybe the big difference between Alexander and his mom is that he's just 5 or 6 years old, and one terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day is a big chunk of his life. His mom has been around for a while. She knows that, yes, some days are like that, even in Australia, and still the world goes on. If we want to deal with all the terrible, horrible, no good things happening right now, a good first step is to step back and take a longer view, much longer. This is not our nation's first rodeo. Stephen Foster wrote the song Hard Times Come Again No More 7 years before the Civil War, when the country was already being torn apart over the question of slavery. During the war, with our nation torn in two and Americans in blue coats killing and being killed by Americans in gray coats, the song became even more popular as people longed for a return to peace and prosperity. It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad time. William Butler Yeats wrote his poem, The Second Coming, in 1919. The First World War was barely over, and Ireland was still in its bloody fight for independence from England. People all over the world were dying in the great flu pandemic of 1918. Things fall apart, Yeats wrote. The center cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. It felt like the world as people knew it was ending, and something much worse was coming. P.F. Sloan wrote and Barry Maguire sang The Eve of Destruction in 1965. The country was torn apart over the war in Vietnam. The threat of nuclear war loomed over everything. Martin Luther King preached peace and nonviolence, but hatred and violence greeted civil rights marchers, bus riders, and sitters in all over the South. And the passage of a civil rights bill was at best a long-term promise, not an immediate reality. And these are just some highlights or lowlights of the past couple of centuries. We could add to the list Jim Crow laws, lynchings, the Dust Bowl, the Great Depression, the Red Scare, and blacklisting in the 1950s. We could go back much farther in history and get a list that would take us all day to recite. Again and again and again, we humans have found ourselves in the midst of terrible, horrible, no good, very bad times. Again and again, it has felt like we were on the eve of destruction. And yet, we have come through it. And yet, our world goes on. Sometimes are just like that.
There's a pale, drooping maiden who toils her life away with a worn heart whose better days are o'er. Though her voice would be merry, sighing all the day, oh, hard times come again no more. It's a song, a sigh of the weary. Hard times come again no more. Many days you have lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times come again no more.
So let's say we've all settled into a long-term perspective. There have been hard times before. There will be hard times again. We know that. But the fact remains that there are far too many really terrible, horrible, no good, very bad things happening right now, these days. Is there nothing at all we can or should do about any of that? I'm not saying that, not for a minute. People have always responded to the terrible things of their times. And some of those things, like human chattel slavery, for instance, might never have ended if some people hadn't put their lives on the line to end them. There are things happening today, maybe climate change, one of the foremost among them, that absolutely must be addressed right now. I can't fix any of it, and neither can you. What I can offer this morning are some suggestions about how we hang on to our sanity as we respond to them. Here's one. Start by going on a news diet. The 24-hour cable cycle demands that people keep talking all the time, mostly saying the same things over and over and over again. All crisis, all the time. Or they're going on and on about what might happen and what it might mean if the president or Congress or the Department of Justice or somebody does this or if it doesn't. Here's a secret. You don't have to listen. You've heard it once. Now go do something else. If it hasn't happened yet, let it go until it does. Do something else. Like what? Like what? Whatever centers you, grounds you, brings you closer to your own inner wisdom, and helps you gain perspective. Breathe, for starters. Try it. Walk, jog, swim, meditate, pray, talk to a friend, write in your journal, read a good book, read a poem or write one, cook a good meal for somebody, make some music or listen to some, spend some quality time with people you love. The poet Rumi said there are 100 ways to kneel and kiss the ground. Find what works for you and do it every day. Okay, so let's say now you've got some long-term perspective on the problems of today. You're breathing deep and steady. You've got yourself centered and grounded. And maybe your blood pressure has dropped a few points too. Now you're ready to get to work. Now you're ready to stir up a hurricane. A very wise man whom most of us have never heard of, a biblical scholar, said this: "Do not be daunted by the world's great grief. Do justly now. Walk humbly now. Love mercy now. You are not obligated to complete the work, but neither are you free to abandon it. You're not obligated to do it all. In fact, of course, you can't. As Edward Everett Hale famously reminds us, I am only one, but I am one. I cannot do everything, but I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something that I can do. So pick one thing, the thing closest to your heart, the thing you know something about, or the thing you want to know more about, the thing you feel is most important right now to you. And do what you can. Do what you can. Get out and volunteer with a group that's already working on it. Or start a group. Send money where it will do some good. Write letters to congresspeople and senators or editors or to voters. Knock on doors for a candidate you believe in. Speak out at a public meeting. Replace your furnace with heat pumps. Start composting. Plant a tree. Again, there are 100 ways, 1,000 ways to kneel and kiss the ground. Figure out what you can do and do that. And this is very important. Trust that there are other people working on all those other terrible things that you're not. You don't have to do it all yourself. And if enough of us do that, then slowly but surely, things may begin to change. And if we open ourselves to let love guide us in the ways of peace and truth and justice, then maybe, just maybe, there will come a time when we can say, this is not a bad day at all. In fact, it's a beautiful, wonderful, very good day.
Tis a sigh that is wafted across the troubled wave. Tis a wail that's heard upon the shore. Tis a dirge that is murmured around the lowly grave. Oh, hard times come again no more. It's a song, a sigh of the weary. Hard times come again no more. have lingered beyond my cabin door. Oh, hard times come again no more. Oh, hard times come again no more. Oh, hard times come again no more.
Amen. May it be so. And now it's your turn to sing. Number 131 in the Gray Hymnal, Love Will Guide Us.
Please rise and bow to your spirit as we sing.
Jesus, guide us, open silence, will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard times. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, lead and guide us, hope inside us, will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
Please be seated for a couple of important announcements. Whoopsie. But first, we extinguish our chalice to close this portion of our service. Oh, here they come. Dun 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 da 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 da. Kate, Poppy, and a monkey. Please join me in our extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now, some important announcements. Usually I say some brief announcements. Luckily, we have lots of time. So, because I have so much to share with you. As our service draws to an end, our service to the world is just beginning. So here are some ways that you can connect and serve in the days to come. We hope you will stay for coffee and conversation following the service. We meet in the Emerson room, which is just beyond the double doors at the back of the chapel. Of special note, in the Emerson room today, there is an example of a rangoli, the sand art, that is a major part of the Hindu festival of Diwali. Now, you may have met Vishwa, an international student from India. Yesterday, she and her friend spent about 5 hours creating a rangoli for UU Amherst. Please be mindful it is sand art. No bumping, no sneezing. This example of the Festival of Diwali will be part of this coming Saturday's Festival of Holidays. And Vishwa also made Diwali treats for us to enjoy during coffee hour. So yeah, come here for the Festival of Holidays. Our fundraising team has created this wonderful opportunity for the whole family, friends, family, bring everybody you know. You will find some flyers on the table at coffee hour. But it will be great fun, and there will be crafts, and there will be cookies, and there will maybe be someone in a red suit. Who knows? It could happen. We are getting a jump start on the holidays. I know you're looking at your phones going, wait, what day is it? We are going to be the first to get started on all of the holidays. And actually, today is the first day of Diwali, so we're right on time. Also, in the lobby, you will find a tree that some of you might associate with a certain holiday, but it is our angel tree, our Gateway Longview angel tree. Our neighbors to your left are the folks at Gateway Longview, and each year we participate in helping make the holidays a bit brighter for the young people that they serve. So you can find envelopes on the tree that have information in them. It's cheating if you open them up to, choose the one. It's like, I don't know, poking a hole in the bottom of the chocolates in the box. That's cheating. But you can choose a male or female at a certain age, and then record your choice on the clipboard that is on the table where the brochures are, which is underneath the bulletin boards. I know I've given you way too many directions. Take a deep breath. It's okay. See? So you can participate, making the holidays brighter, and make sure you record your choices so that I can help you get things here in a timely manner. And as long as you're looking for clipboards, in that same location, there is a clipboard for you to sign up for Thanksgiving Day with friends. We are going to have a potluck Thanksgiving here at the church on Thanksgiving Day at noon. Turkey and beverages will be provided, and participants will bring the rest of it. So I hope that you will consider yourself warmly invited and will participate. As part of the next Sunday service, we will have a new member recognition. I know you've been thinking about becoming a member and getting the secret decoder ring. Well, there's not actually a decoder ring, but becoming a member does help you to become more rooted in this faith community. So just see me after the service if you would like to find out more about becoming a member. At 11:45 today, in the Emerson room beyond the double doors where we will be having coffee, Don Tucker will be offering a facilities update and conversation. Yes, we know it's coffee hour. That is what we call a captive audience. So do stay and participate for that. And the choir will be meeting after the service so that we can rehearse with Gregory, because the choir will be singing next week too. There is so much stuff going on. It is wonderful. Next week's service is all about gratitude, but we should practice by giving our great gratitude to Reverend Fran Manley and Doug Yeomans. What an outstanding service. I know, you think I've told you everything there is to know, but there is so much more in the newsletter, and you can find copies of it on that same table where the clipboards are, or online at our website, uuamherst.org. And someone would come and shake their finger at me if I did not also invite you to participate in the life, vitality, and ministry of this congregation by your financial contributions. You will find green baskets at the back of the chapel where we can receive your gifts, or you can text your gift, because we are in the 21st century. I actually don't know how to do that, but people do it, and they do it well. Or you can go to our website and click on the giving link. Your gifts and participation are important because we pick fruit from trees we did not plant. And we drink water from wells we did not dig. And that is as it should be, so long as we dig and plant for those who will come after us. I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing our closing blessing. Now look at each other. Travel light and travel easy till I see you once again. Travel light and travel easy and remember I'm your friend.
2020 inaugural poet Amanda Gorman reminded us that there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard, the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down, there is another truth. You are not alone. You are never alone. So be it. Blessed be, and let the whole church say, Amen.
Amen. Sunrise over the city, noise and confusion everywhere. There's no relief, it's a pity. Seems like no one really cares. I'm just running in circles, not really going anywhere. Think it's time to stop and listen. Let the music take me there. Walk in the silence, stand in the light, give myself over, feel so right. Truth's in a whisper, the voice of my own. I'm walking in silence, walking alone. Feel the world rushing by me. I wonder what it's coming to. Now do we pay the price of progress when the cost is me and you? Walk in the silence, stand in the light, give myself over, feel so right. Truth's in a whisper, the voice of my own. I'm walking in silence, walking alone. When the silence falls around me, I feel the world slip away. I find peace and understanding, and I can face another day. Walk in the silence, stand in the light, give myself over, feel so right. Truth's in a whisper, voice of my own. I'm walking in silence, walking alone. Walking in silence, walking alone. Thank you. Thank you.